Thank you. Please proceed.
Hi. I'd like to ask Ms. Sully to give you kind of quick brief about the timeline for the.
Can you pull the microphone closer?
Move it forward.
Red button down and close. Hold it close to you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Nope. Try it again.
The blue button. Okay. We're on now. So I'd like to ask Ms. Sully to give you a quick brief about the Delta MOU history. You're probably familiar with it, but let's start with doing a quick brief. Will help probably everybody to understand where we were and where we are right now.
Okay. The MOU has.
Microphone.
Sorry. Better?
Oh, put it right in front
It's
of you.
getting there.
Okay. There
Excellent.
we go. Has a long history. In 1985, after some flooding we had, which resulted in a federal disaster declaration 677, and I think there were some handouts that has this timeline on it. There was a FEMA state agreement, and there was an amendment to that FEMA state agreement, which was required to add the legal delta to part of that disaster. The amendment required the development of flood hazard mitigation plans, and the state developed that plan, and it was submitted and approved by FEMA. And that's the plan where that HMP, or originally called FHMP, the Flood Hazard Mitigation Plan, was developed. Everybody refers to that HMP, that configuration that's in the MOU. That's where it came from, that original Amendment 1 to that particular FEMA state agreement. In 1986, after more flooding that resulted in a presidential declaration 758, FEMA requested a status report on that flood hazard mitigation plan that the state had prepared. They found that it showed little progress had been made and that the plan lacked an implementation plan, time frame for completion, and the requirement to protect against a 100-year floodplain. So they prepared Amendment Number 5 to the FEMA State Agreement for 758, where they established a 5-year time frame to upgrade all the Delta levees to that HMP configuration. And they also said that if the Delta reclamation districts failed to meet that standard, they would not be eligible to receive public assistance funding. In 2006, we had two back-to-back floods, DR 1628 and 1646, and those configurations were used to determine eligibility for public assistance for the levees of the reclamation districts in the legal delta. Districts that did not meet that HMP standard were denied public assistance funding. In February 2010, Cal OES worked with FEMA and the Department of Water Resources to develop the Memorandum of Understanding. The purpose of the Memorandum of Understanding was to address confusion that arose from Amendment Number 5. It also provided clarification and addressed the uniqueness of the Delta. It's a 100-year-old construction. It has subsoil stability issues, so it addressed those problems that are unique to the Delta. It recognized that even with regular maintenance, portions of the levee may never meet that configuration, the HMP. It required reclamation districts to submit annual maintenance plans to DWR, and reclamation districts that had approved annual maintenance plans, even if some portions of their levees didn't meet those standards, as long as the deficiencies were identified and repair methods and methods to address those deficiencies were identified in their plan, FEMA, according to that MOU, FEMA would still consider those levees eligible for the public assistance program. Then, 2 years later, in 2012, FEMA sent a letter to us, to Cal OES, notifying us that they were exercising their right to terminate the MOU. And since then, we've had several meetings with FEMA, the Army Corps, and DWR to try to, I won't go into all the meetings that we've had, but they're listed there, to try to come to some mutual agreement on how to move forward with this. And we're still discussing it. And that's where we are right now. That's how we got to where we are right now.
Okay, great. That's an overview. We're going to go through all of the presentations before we pose questions to you. So who would like to follow?